pre-K, kind of over at Toy Town. Right?
Yeah, they still have the bus.
Right, that's true. Exciting, getting too big,
Okay, everyone, I think we're ready to begin.
That's when you're having fun.
and when you're not.
Just tell me about it. They go up.
I'd like to welcome everyone to, I think this is our second annual Candidates Night Forum for the candidates in the Winchendon Town election. And the town election will be this coming Monday, May 1st. I'm sure everyone here knows that, but the polling place will be at the Old Murdoch Senior Center, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So the Candidates Forum is being co-sponsored by Beals Memorial Library and the Winchendon Courier, and I am the moderator. I am Inanna Arthen, and I'm the publisher of the Winchendon Courier. So for people here in the audience, I just have a few guidelines for audience participation. You probably, you saw when you sat down, there's index cards and pencils on the seats. So if you have a question, what you do is you write it on an index card and put down who it's for, whether it's for a specific individual, whether it's for the candidates for a particular seat, or whether it's just for everyone, all the candidates to answer. I'm asked to say, please be civil. Don't ask inappropriate, personal, insulting, trolling, baiting, you know what I mean, those kind of questions, because we won't include them. I'll be reading the questions to the candidates. But certainly, issues that are of concern to you, generally, feel free to just step right up and answer, because this is your chance to ask the candidates about specific issues in town. A member of the library board of trustees will be picking up your questions, so if you have a card, hold it up so that the trustee can come and get it from you and bring it to me. Now, I'll be relaying the questions to the candidates, and I'll try not to always go in the same order. So what I'll do is I'll just go boom, 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 and either I'll say, just go along the row, or I'll name people by name so that you'll be clear that, when it's your turn to answer. And be sure that candidates, please speak right into your microphones. These microphones are designed so that they don't pick up background noise. So if you're not really close to them, they don't pick up your voice very well. And you want to be sure, there's probably a lot of folks watching this at home on Channel 8, and you want to be sure that everyone can hear what you say. So just be sure that you don't, get far away from your microphone. So to begin with, before we start with the questions from the audience, each candidate, and I believe I sent an email and I let you know about this, you have about 5 minutes to give a basic statement, presentation, introduction of yourself and your candidacy, which is pretty free form. It's what you want to say. And we have to hold people to time on these questions, so to make sure that with 6 people up there, that everyone will have a chance to speak. Oh, one more thing before we begin. I have a message from Karen Cast, who's a candidate for this school committee, and she asked me to let people know that she would really like to be here, but she has a new job, and her job schedule just does not permit her to have tonight off. So she's very disappointed, but she's not able to join us tonight. I have not heard from Mr. Goodrich. Okay, so why don't we start down at this end of the table, and Sharon,
Yep.
La Rochelle, you can begin, candidate for Board of Selectmen, with your statement. You have 5 minutes.
All right. I am Sharon La Rochelle. I'm married to Glenn. He's been living here past his whole life. I came to town about 5 years ago. I moved here. I started working in town as a mail carrier for 9 years. What made me come here is it's a nice little town, and I used to come from Chicopee. It's a big city area, and I just like the atmosphere. The people here are nice and friendly, and it's like a small town community, and everyone, gets along, and it's nice and slow paced, unlike the other big cities. So, but it's a nice area, and I like, I get along with everybody, and everyone's really nice around here. So, I don't have a lot.
Okay, Melissa Blanchard.
Melissa Blanchard, thank you for this opportunity. I've been a resident in town for about 22 years. Very passionate about Winchendon. I really like Winchendon. I love the fact that we're a right-to-farm community. I love the bike trails and everything that's been going on with the town. I see it moving positively over the past 20 years. I'm also have a seat on the Conservation Committee because that was the only opportunity I had to serve, being that I worked nights as a part-time job, so I was never available during nights except on Thursdays. My calendar is opened up. I'm currently a full-time employed as a teacher, vocational teacher. I'm a plumber, master plumber by trade. I've been a plumber since 40 years, kind of dating myself here. I am a veteran of the United States Air Force, honorably discharged, and I've been in Massachusetts since I got discharged from the Air Force. Grew up in California, but I love the small-town atmosphere of Massachusetts, and particularly Winchendon. I think it's a little hidden gem here. I'm also a union member of Local 4 Plumbers Pipe Fitters in Worcester, and I'd really like to get more involved in the town politics, especially the select board. I think that being a plumber for as many years, I currently hold about 5 licenses in the state, and I'm very apt to reading codes, and I'd like to bring some of my abilities to legal law language and being able to read prints and the different trade aspects that I've learned over my career to the town to help as another fresh set of eyes on the board. Teaching has taught me how to collaborate within individuals and share other people's ideas and values and respect other people's ideas and values. And so I'm really looking forward to bringing that together and being part of a team. For me, that's really what it's about. And I'd really like, I kind of live by the philosophy that instead of complaining about a problem, I always like to try and solve it. And it's not really what's wrong with a problem, it's how can we make it better. And I'd like to bring that philosophy with me. And thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, Edward Ford.
My name is Edward Ford. I've been in this town since 1994. I attended Toy Town Elementary. I also attended the high school. I've worked several trades in my life. I am currently a civilian defense contract with Space Force, actually. We moved up. I have been studying the Selectmen for several years now. I do run Winchendon Farms because I believe farming is very important to keep our natural food sources close and re-sustainable. I do plan on concentrating mostly on the bylaw year of 2025, finding it very important that we negotiate better bylaws. I do know the last bylaw year we actually outlawed the ability to keep roosters in certain parts of the town, which I find keeps our residents from being able to replenish their chicken stock by incubating their own eggs and growing their own food. So the town being a right-to-farm community is very important to me. I do find it to be one of our biggest export possibilities, bringing money to the town by food trade. I know a lot of people see me on social media. I do a lot of work via the information trade on the internet. And I really look forward to serving the community as selectman. Thank you.
And David Lapointe.
Yeah, thank you, Nana, and the Winchendon Courier, as well as Manny and Beals Memorial Library for hosting this candidates' night. My name is David Lapointe, and I am throwing my hat in the ring for a seat, a 3-year term on the Winchendon School Committee. I am a proud graduate of Murdoch High School, graduating back in 1981. It's nice to see some fellow graduates and classmates here tonight. My attendance in the Winchendon Public Schools from Head Start to grade 12 opened up many, many doors for me throughout my lifetime. Upon graduation, I entered the United States Army. I became a military policeman. In fact, I became one of the last 5'6" military policemen, because after that, they changed it to 5'8". After the military, I came home. I got married, started a family here in Winchendon, and I joined the Winchendon Police Force. And I served for 6 years here in town, knowing very well that my education at Murdoch and in the public school system here, that I had my sights on becoming an attorney. And that actually came from a teacher who inspired me in high school in having us do mock trials right here at the Winchendon District Court. And but I got kind of off track. I actually got my teaching degree. I went to school, got my teaching degree, continuing to raise a family, and found that perhaps it's time to take a break, and I'd have to work so I could continue my quest to become an attorney. Well, after 10 years of being a public school teacher in the Ashburnham-Westminster District, I was a social studies teacher from 7 to 12. I finally made the decision later in life that I would be a non-traditional student and I would attend law school. I was accepted at the Massachusetts School of Law in Andover in 2004. I went full-time, continuing to raise a family, and I graduated in 2007, passed the Massachusetts bar, and for the past 16 years, I've been privileged and honored to protect the constitutional, civil, and human rights of all of my clients. As a criminal defense attorney and as a family law attorney, I find that it is very important that I advocate for their rights. And running for the Winchendon School Committee, I will continue to advocate for the students, all students, not just my own. My wife Danielle and I have 2 little ones in preschool, pre-kindergarten, and kindergarten right now, plus a 10th grader and a stepdaughter who's graduating this year from Murdoch. And by the way, she's been accepted at 12 of 13 schools across the nation, and her average scholarship is in the amount of $25,000. So again, it's evidence and proof that the Winchendon public school system is working, but it takes all of us. It takes this village to make sure that it works. I want each and every student in this town to have the same opportunity that I was given by dedicated teachers, dedicated administrators, dedicated support staff, dedicated custodian staff, dedicated bus drivers, and dedicated crossing guards, who all came together to make sure that my experience in the Winchendon public school system was success. So I come before you tonight asking for you to support and vote for me for the Winchendon Public School, and I will continue with the Winchendon Public School mission, which is to ensure each student gains the skills, knowledge, and habits to become contributing members of society. And that I promise you, and thank you.
Okay, Michael Barbaro.
Thank you. My name is Michael Barbaro. I was honored to serve the Winchendon School Committee from 2005 to 2015, and the Board of Selectmen from 2015 to 2021. In my time in the school committee, we were part of the team that helped the schools come out from underperforming. We are the only school district in the state to do that. In 2010, I was awarded an award from Massachusetts Association of School Committees for my work on the committee. I helped secure $650,000 in funding to replace the boilers at Toy Town, to which the town was only responsible for $263,000. I chaired that project, and I brought it in on time and under budget. On the Board of Selectmen, I was again part of the team that helped the town come out of debt of $3.6 million in 4 years. In 2020, I helped secure $250,000 for a grant to repair the air handling unit at Toy Town so it could reopen in 2021. I have a very good understanding of budgets and how they are built and how to go out and look for grants. If elected to return to the school committee, I will look again at many resources and after-school programs for our children. We had a program called Century 21. Our staff was highly recommended, and we went to the national conference to present. That was a source of pride for this community and the staff that went there. Everyone tried to emulate what our staff was doing at the time. That was, as chairman, that was a source of pride about the district and our staff. I would like you to know my passion is to keep making the school district a great place and to work in a sense of pride in the whole community. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope for your vote on May 1st.
And Board of Health, Tina Santos.
Hi, all. Thank you very much for coming tonight, and for those who are watching on local channel 8. My name is Tina Santos. I lived here in Winchendon for about 20 years. I moved here with my husband in 2003. We got married in 2003. We moved out here in 2004. 2006, I had my twin daughters. I feel that I am a go-getter. I am very confident. I enjoy volunteering. I've worn many seats and hats in town and in the school system. I previously was the chair of the Winchendon Recreation Commission. I served as a member on the Cultural Council. I also volunteered in the Winchendon Public Schools for many years as the PTO president and helping out with the Murdoch High School or middle school store. I also coordinated fundraising for the Toy Town Elementary School Playground, Toy Town Playground, Project Playground, helping them update the playground as well as bring in swings, as well as the fencing and other the basketball courts, etc. I hold the position now as clerk on the Board of Health. I took the remaining seat of one of the members that had stepped down, and I'm looking for to be elected to another 3 years. I really enjoy my town. I love the town of Winchendon. I grew up in Chelmsford, moved here about 20 years ago, and I just love volunteering and serving. I am the Auxiliary Unit President of the American Legion, Post 193 here in Winchendon. I enjoy working and helping the veterans in our community. I am also a member of the Winchendon Garden Club. I am the one that kind of maintains and risks my life in those Blair Square Islands, and as everybody's honking by. I also take care of the flower beds over at the gazebo at Gar Park. I enjoy it. I'm also a mother of twin daughters, like I said, so we enjoy camping on our spare time, helping out the community, and helping out with the varsity softball team, which my girls play. So I want to say thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your support, and I'd greatly appreciate your vote in the May 1st election. Have a great night.
Okay, thanks, everyone. So I have, so far, several questions, and all of these questions are for everyone. So I'm going to try to break it up a little so we aren't all going in the same order for every single one. What do you see as Winchendon's greatest asset, and what area do you see as needing improvement? And let's start with the Board of Selectmen candidates, and why don't we start with Ed?
I would say for Winchendon's greatest asset would definitely be the people, because without it, we wouldn't be here, obviously. The people, they definitely have a, I'll say stubbornness about them. They really are, they got grit, good old-fashioned grit, and you see it everywhere. Sometimes they may not know how to focus it, but they got grit. I don't really know how else to explain it. And the other part of the question was,
Was greatest asset and needing improvement.
definitely participation. I will have to say, participation in the government definitely needs improvement. I do know from watching the Board of Selectmen, the last election, nobody ran, and I do know several of the selectmen were looking to retire from being selectmen from watching them. And it kind of saddened me to see that nobody actually ran in the previous election, with the exception of, I believe, Shauna actually tried or started to. I knew that running would have to wait for me until the bylaw year, so that I didn't bother earlier. But I would definitely say participation. A lot of people like to complain about the town government, but nobody actually goes and becomes a part of it. Our last voting was only 500 out of the 10,000 residents we have. And it's just shameful. That is not even quarter of our population actually participating in the town vote.
Melissa?
I have to agree with that as far as community as being one of our biggest assets, the community within the town structure. There's, just going on Facebook, you can see where people ask for lending hands and people come out in the community and help one another. And that's really what being in a small town's about. And that's what I like about this town. The needs improvement for me would be the infrastructure, like the town water, sewer. As a resident here in town for many years, I've just watched my water and sewer bills going up and up. And it's scary the way things are changing and the costs are increasing, and I'd like to get a little more involved to see how we can help the citizens, because I'd like to retire in this town, and I'd like to make this a town that I can retire in, and the rest of us can retire and live a little more comfortably in.
Okay. And Sharon?
I would say the same as them too. The greatest asset is all of us here in town. There's a lot of stuff to do. Everyone has, they're all their own opinions. There's a lot of stuff that can be done. And if we all work together, we can get a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of open spaces, and there can be a lot of stuff that can be done. And if, we all get together and just work as a team, we can get a lot of stuff done.
Okay. Board of Health, Tina?
So I would have to agree, I guess, the community members and the togetherness of our residents. It's a small, quaint feeling. I grew up in Chelmsford, which is a suburb, but next to Lowell, or a larger city. So coming out here, it's, everybody kind of knows your name. Everybody is very friendly. You can actually walk down the street and people kind of smile at you and have a conversation. And so I think just the togetherness of when it really boils down and time, everybody kind of comes together. I think the challenges, there's a few, but I would say our biggest one, or one of our biggest one, is food insecurity. As you know, that we don't have a grocery store in town. IGA had closed many years ago, but Hill Winchendon has done a great job with providing the resources and programs and helping kind of build local businesses within town to get produce and food and access, et cetera. I know I help out with the Heal Winchendon, with the Taste of Winchendon that's coming up on May 13th. So I think if we all kind of come together and we can all make a difference.
So school committee, Mike?
So, we have lots of hidden gems in this town. We have Lake Dennison. We have lots of beautiful scenic views around town. If you notice now that the garage is torn down by the bridge, that's going to be a beautiful park, which I'm on the redevelopment authority. We're going to turn that into a nice park. You know, the community here comes together all the time for a lot of different events. We have the amphitheater opening up in the spring, in the fall, and summer. That's going to be a beautiful park, and that took all the residents in this community to come together to make that happen. And so that is a great achievement for everybody and a sense of pride for everybody here, because we all pulled that together, and it took a lot of work behind the scenes for a lot of people, and we'd like to thank them all because they worked so diligently to make that happen. As far as things that we need to do, we're fortunate that we have a good bunch of committees to work together to make the town run. The school committee and the Board of Selectmen work in unison, where years ago that did not happen, and I'm so glad that that works. All the other boards work together in unison to make the town a better place. Our infrastructure needs a lot of work, and you'll see a lot of bills coming up for us. One of them, I hope that'll pass this year, will be $1 million for roads, to repair roads. We're also working on a $2.5 million redo to start the repairs on the senior center. You've got a $9 million bond, which $2 million the state's now going to pay for a new water line, which is we only have one water line that runs in town. And if something happens to that, we would be in trouble. But we are securing funding to fix that. So there's a lot of things we can do together, and there's a lot of projects coming up that will need everybody's vote. So that's what I see as the biggest thing. And stabilization in our main offices. We're turning over town manager. We need to have some stability there moving forward. Thank you.
And David?
Thank you, Nana. I would have to say that our volunteers are our greatest asset, and many of you in this room are our volunteers, and many of you at home. Whether it be doing the Friday popcorn at Memorial School, whether it be serving on the Beals Memorial Library Board of Directors, whether it be in the PTOs in the school system, whether it be risking your life to plant flower beds in our intersections, all of you make this town work. And I think what I see in the volunteerism in this town is that it goes back to my high school days, where a very, very inspirational teacher by the name of Larry Murphy, you may have heard of him. He was my civics teacher in 9th grade, and he told us that, you know, democracy is not a spectator sport. You can't sit on the sidelines. It requires active participation. And I see in our town, the time that I spent 8 years coaching Winchendon Little League, all of the volunteers that did that for no pay and for many hours to teach our kids a sport, to educate them, but more importantly, to keep them safe. And that's what I see in this town, is there is the volunteerism. But I do agree with Ed on the other end of the needing improvement, and that is the active participation in our government, both in the school system and both on the town government side. And that only comes from our volunteers, by reaching out to other town people or your friends, your family. I recently joined the board of directors at the Clark Memorial YMCA, and that's one of their goals, is to reach out to everyone. And just if you can just give a few minutes of your time, it will make a difference in our town, but more importantly, it will make a difference in our community for our kids. And if you look at all of the civic organizations here in Winchendon, you've got the Winchendon CAC, with the Heel Makers, you've got, these programs all at the Y designed for our children. And that's what I see that needs improvement, and as part of my commitment on both, if I were to be elected, is to make sure that, that we increase the participation in the school committee especially. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the next question, this is for everyone. What does teamwork mean to you? Because no matter what seat you're sitting in, everyone in town hall is part of a team. So what does teamwork mean to you? And let's start with Board of Health. Tina.
Well, I mean, there's no I in team, like the famous saying goes. I think working together, working in joint unison between the boards, as well as with the residents and schools. I think it's, the fellow candidates had mentioned that it's great to see that the town and the schools are working together. I think it's just another progress and step forward. So I think just the part of everybody pitches in, however small, and just kind of doing what you can and making a difference.
Okay, so let's go down Board of Selectmen. Sharon.
Well, I guess just everyone getting together, and if you all get together and just work as a team and all that, you can get a lot of stuff done. And it just involves getting everyone, together, work together, everyone's thoughts and ideas. Everyone has their own opinion, and it's good, like, everyone can get together, we can all think of something to do, and, we all get along and just get out there, and we can figure a lot of stuff out to do.
Okay, Melissa.
For me, teamwork is respecting everybody's views. We're going to have other boards, and we need to be able to have transparency through one another and respect our own opinions and know that everybody's bringing something to the table, and everybody's opinion has value in it. And with respect and mutual respect amongst all of us, we can come up with a conclusion and be able to make a plan.
And Ed.
Definitely inclusion. If you don't include certain people in the community, then you're definitely not working as a team. And then listening and not really agreeing, but accepting other people's opinions, respecting their life and their right to have their opinion, and then obviously negotiating which idea is the better. Because if you cannot come up with an end result, your teamwork is not going to be successful. If you can't come to an end conclusion, you're never going to succeed. So you have to eventually either submit your opinion and accept somebody else's, or have your opinion accepted. You have eventually you have to move forward to actually achieve the goal.
Okay. So school committee, David.
Thank you, Nana. So teamwork actually begins in school. And as a teacher, I came into education at a time where the Education Reform Act of 1993 became law. And it changed a lot of things. But what it did do is it brought everybody together. K through 12 social studies teachers, K through 12 English teachers, K through 12 science teachers, math teachers, and what it did is it brought everybody together on the same team, going in the same direction. That's what teamwork requires, that everybody has to go in the same direction to meet a common goal. And for example, in education, you have a lot of people involved in a child's education, and they all have equal say and equal input. And you have parents. Parents are their first teacher. You're going to have your school teacher. You're going to have the administrators, the support staff, and you're going to come together, and you're going to form you're going to storm, and then you're going to perform. That's what any committee does in building the teamwork. And in the schools, when I used what was called cooperative learning wasn't just simply throwing your kids into a group project and come up with a biography of George Washington. Cooperative learning meant simply that I had 5 students in a group, and I would have a higher level learning student, and I would have a lower level student, and then I would have in between 3 other students that were of varying and diverse backgrounds and educational levels. And by bringing those 5 people together, the student who was excelling in their education at this particular point was a role model and a teacher for the other 4, and each had equal ownership. So that is where teamwork starts. It's no longer an individual approach to solving problems. It needs to be a team approach. And again, if I'm elected to the member of the school committee, that's exactly what I would look to do, is to build that cooperative learning teamwork. In fact, my job is so awesome that I get paid to listen, I get paid to solve problems, and I get paid to argue. And I think, that that's going to be important for me in getting up to speed. I've been out of education now for 16, 19 years. But the core of Education Reform 1993 is still here. It was the curriculum frameworks that were established in 1993 that continue to exist today. So again, form, storm, and perform.
Okay, and Mike.
So it might sound corny, but when you drive into town and it says working together, that's what it is. We all work together, all the boards, and everybody in town works together to try to get, I know it sounds corny, but it's true. You can't have one board work against the other. They have to work in unison to make the town work. It's the same thing with the school committee. You have to work together with the superintendent and the staff and to make it work. And, there are so many changes in education, it's so hard to keep up. They just passed the new ed reform, which is allowing Winchendon massive amounts of money over the last couple of years. We're in a really good place moving forward. Our kids are learning at a better pace than we ever did. Technology is going to continue to move. And with that, the kids are going to know more than we do at a faster rate. And the more we can teach them how to work together, the better off we all are going to be, because they're the next generation that will run this town, that will be teachers, that will be doctors, that will be lawyers. And so that is where we need to be. You start at the younger level, but we lead by example on all the committees, how we sit and act with each other. We don't have to like each other all the time. We don't have to agree with each other, but we have to respect each other. And that is key to making everything work.
So our next question is also for everyone. What is, and I guess this would be as you see it, what is the single most important responsibility of the position that you are seeking, that you're running for? So let's start with Board of Selectmen. Melissa.
Well, I think the single most important responsibility would be the citizens of the town. I want to make sure that I'm hearing the voice of the citizens and doing what is right for the town, and not Melissa, but to be there to help the town and to be open to hear what the town wants and to find a solution.
Ed.
Again, it is to serve the people. Going into the position as selectman, I look to set up a system that will better serve the next generation, as opposed to leave them in default or in submission to a corrupt government, to raise them above where we are now and just better serve the people and put them in a position where they can better serve themselves.
And Sharon?
I guess listen to what everyone has to say, and we come together and just figure some stuff out, see if we can all figure it out, and come to it, see if we can all get things, work together, I guess.
Okay. And for the school committee, Mike?
So the school committee role is policy, finances, and curriculum. Those are the three things that we really approve, and that's important. Financing for the schools is very important to make sure you can maintain programs and staff. Policy is to make sure that we have good things for the kids, policies that make it work, but take input from the community. Curriculum is guided by the state, so we're allowed to have flexibility with it and how we implement it. But those are the three roles that we're entitled, and we're responsible to hire the superintendent, who's a good person that's currently in there, and the special ed director. Those are the roles of the school committee, but you have to be passionate to be there, to want to make it better for our children moving forward. And that's one of the things that I look forward to doing.
And Dave?
Thank you, Enon. I would say that the single most important responsibility that I would have if elected to the school committee is actually a three-legged stool. And that stool is comprised of three legs. That includes children, curriculum, and community. And that stool cannot stand if one of them fails. So I would start with the community, because it is the community made up of our parents, made up of our taxpayers, made up of our elected officials, made up of our volunteers that are invested in our school system. Very important to make sure, as Mike said, that the financial part of that rests with the community. And we need to get as much funding from this community as well as the state as possible to make sure that the next leg is the children. Remember, we're here for them, they're not here for us. As a teacher, I live by that particular motto, and I continue to feel that it's important that we continue to make sure, again, that all of our students have the same opportunity, regardless of what their race is, what their gender identity is, or their gender, whether, it doesn't matter, the ethnic background, it doesn't matter. Give them the opportunity to become successful. That's all my goal will be, and that is for all students, not just for my own. The other piece of that is the curriculum. And within the curriculum, you often hear of debate mainly over history. And you don't see anybody debating, I don't want to learn the multiplication table, let's get that off the table. I don't want to learn anything about, an amoeba. But when it comes to the history curriculum, that started in 1993 when I became a teacher, and still has yet to be resolved in the sense that what is important for our students to learn. But what is important for the students to learn through the curriculum that is in place here in Massachusetts is important to learn that all students need to become lifelong learners. When I was teaching, the one thing that me and my colleagues agreed upon is if you spoon feed a student, the only thing they learn is the shape of the spoon. So to become, the curriculum is there, but it includes our teachers, devoted and dedicated for little pay, our administrators, again, support staff, custodians, coaches. That is all part of the curriculum because it's just not history, it's everything. It's about life. And I think that that's going to be my responsibility, is to maintain that stool and keep it standing.
Okay. Board of Health, Tina.
as a Board of Health member, we are here to protect the health and well-being of the public as well, and the Winchendon residents. By enforcing state regulations, using programs and services, we approve all food and tobacco permits. We vote on Title V sewage variances as well as enforce state regulations regarding housing. So I served on the board for 2 years and through COVID. During that time, I helped with the Earth Day program many years as a resident as well as a Board of Health member. I currently hold the clerk position at Board of Health. I have handed out masks at Fall Festival, as well as home test kits at town meetings, communicated vaccine clinics, etc. So I think just protecting our residents and making sure that everybody is, well-being is taken care of.
Okay. So we have a few questions here for school committee. So I think if we keep their answers kind of brief, like I think we're aiming to keep to 2 minutes an answer, if we can. How important is it to have Murdoch alumni teaching in our schools? I guess, Mike.
I think it's very important. It sets an example for the students that you can succeed and come back and teach in your own town. I mean, to grow up here, I did not grow up here, but I've been here since 2004, and watch my children grow up, and look at the kids that leave town. And, you want them to come back. This is a beautiful community. For them to teach here is very important because it shows that you can grow and you can live here and you can raise your family here and you can teach the next generation.
Okay, Dave.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with Michael on that. In fact, I spent a semester, last semester, 1994, filling in for a social studies teacher who unfortunately and tragically passed away. However, my job came from neighboring district in Ashburnham, Westminster, so I began my career there. But it's very important. When I grew up, all of my teachers lived in the neighborhood. The superintendent lived on the corner. The principal lived just down the street from him. It was a trend back in the 80s and 90s that the community provided all of its leadership. It provided its teachers. And then there was a shift. There was a shift in every school district where they started to go outside of the district, bringing in teachers, bringing in administrators. But I think that any chance that a Murdoch alum wants to come back and teach in our school system, I will be the first one to welcome them.
Okay. So again, school committee, if you were brought concerns from parents, residents, regarding the superintendent and his oversight of staff, how would you, as the board, handle that situation appropriately?
So when a complaint or a concern is brought by the citizens, you try to answer the question, but by yourself, you can't do. It has to be brought before the board. You can bring your concern to the superintendent and say, hey, a resident reached out to me and they have a concern about X, Y, and Z. Have they reached out to you? Did you answer them? And if not, why? But if it's a major concern, it's brought before the whole board because by yourself, you're one of 5. You have no power to hire or fire by yourself. You have to bring a major concern to the board, and it has to be handled appropriately. But the first thing you do is you reach out to the superintendent and say, have you received a complaint or a concern from a citizen, and have you responded appropriately? That's where you would start, and then, if not, you'd escalate up to the whole committee.
Okay, Dave?
Thank you. So I think that in this particular situation, if a complaint, and we're addressing a complaint perhaps about superintendent, could be any superintendent in town. Of course, the board, the school committee oversees the superintendent. However, under Massachusetts law, superintendents have a lot of power and autonomy granted to them during a time when they took away power from local school committees. However, I deal in a profession every day where facts and evidence matter. And when I get a case and I do an intake, my job is to do one thing: listen, and then to perform a legal analysis on the issue. Very much like a complaint. Somebody's complaining to me about a problem that they want me to solve legally. And I think the same thing should happen with the complaint against anybody: superintendent, teacher, principal, cafeteria worker. Let's gather the facts. Gather the facts, take a look at the evidence before you make any decision. You cannot rush to judgment. If I listen to half of the stuff that my 5-year-old and my 6-year-old tell me when they come home from school, I would be writing out probably complaints every week. But you have to get to the root of the facts. Those facts matter. Facts are important. So that's how I would address that with Michael as a team. There's your teamwork, taking a look into any allegation of wrongdoing by any of our school personnel.
Okay. So questions for the selectmen candidates. And these two are sort of related. One, the question is, please describe your position on Winchendon's water system. And then related to that is thoughts on how to distribute the cost to taxpayers for the new water pipe that is going to come in from Ashburnham to Winchendon. Should people that are not on town water or sewer pay a decreased percentage? Because there's two big issues with our water system that are coming up immediately. So why don't I start? Ed, you can start.
Okay, this is a problem I've actually been taking on already. The water system I knew needed to be revamped. I have a couple of plumbing devices I have been working on, including a water filter that goes into the pipe itself and a pump that will pump through the water filter. I've also been, I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm doing telephone hand sign to my ear and then pointing out to cars. This is to bring up free cash. Every car violation that we have, hands-free devices, if you're on your phone and I'm doing this and pointing at you, expect a ticket in the mail. I have already talked to a lieutenant at the police office. We've already arranged that if you dispute the ticket, I will go to court and say I saw you on your phone. This is to build free cash in our financial well, which will then eventually go to a water tank in Ashburnham, as well as the piping that I hope we will install later on. So yeah, I have already been working on this, and I would appreciate some help. If you see someone driving through town, especially if they got a New Hampshire or a New York plate, you see them on the phone, you get a photo of them on the phone and a license plate, you send it to the police station, you clear your calendar to get to court if it is disputed, and that money will go to free cash. When that money goes to free cash, we can then use it for the water system. I've been working on this for the past 2 months now with Jessica's law as well as the phone, hands-free phone.
Sharon.
I can't really say a lot because I'm not really familiar with it, so I'd have to look more into it.
Okay. Melissa?
I know that they're replacing the water line coming in from Ashburnham, and we do have a grant on that, and that's going to help with some of the cost. And I do understand folks that have wells and their own septic system, and it's not right for them to be charged for the town water or sewer when you have your own infrastructure for your water and sewer. But I also remember when the town used to have their own water department and sewer department, and it was paid employees, and now everything's subbed out. And that's when I started to notice the costs going up. And I'd like to take a deeper look into where those finances go and what's causing the rising cost. Because as much as our prices have been going up and the infrastructure has not been repaired, so we've been putting the money in, and now we're in trouble because we have issues. So where's the money that's been going in? I know my water bill, being that I am on town water and town sewer, so I know the costs in the past 20 years, how they have escalated once we went from private sector to a subcontractor. I'd like to take a look at those finances and see why and where the money's going, and see how we can't make it better with what we have already within the town and what we're already paying for, because I feel we're, as a taxpayer in this town and a utility user, I feel the bite into what we're paying. And I'd like to know more and see where it's going and why the costs are going up without the repairs being done. And I know when we had our town water department, we had the trucks and the people that maintained our water department, and now it's all subbed out. It just doesn't make sense. If we subbed it out, to me, it should have been at a lesser cost to the citizens, not at a higher price. So that would be my concern.
Okay, more for the Board of Selectmen. In terms of economic development, what types of businesses do you think should be encouraged in our town? Should any be discouraged? And I suppose, for example, where do you stand on putting in more solar fields? I get Sharon?
I would say we should encourage, big businesses, small businesses, everything. This is a good town, and, bring in a lot more businesses, that's more work for everyone. There's some land we can use and all that, but I think bring in more stuff to the town, that's more opportunity for everyone, for working and just to get out there and, bring in more stuff to the town.
Melissa?
For myself, I feel that the solar fields are really hurting our town. We have a beautiful town, and we have beautiful forests, and we're stripping them down to put solar in. And the whole point of those trees is to be our water filters, to be our air filters. And now we're taking our forests and we're just making fields of solar. It doesn't make sense in my mind. I haven't seen the savings. My electric bill hasn't gone down since they've been putting solar fields in. I don't know if anybody else's has. So I'm not for the solar fields. I just think that they are ruining the landscape and the natural resources of Winchendon.
Okay, and Ed?
I've already reached out to several businesses. One pet store that I admire from my youth up in Claremont, New Hampshire, as well as a couple of toy stores to come to our town and take up some of these vacant buildings and spaces that are empty. I've also encouraged a lot of learning jobs, teaching herbal medicines at one of the other vacant buildings. Factory work, I would love to bring to the town, but I know nobody loves staring at a brick wall and moving boxes around. It is not a fun job, but it is, again, a job that needs to be done. I do have several innovative ideas on what to make, but again, that comes with investment. And the last part of the question was? sorry, the last part of the question.
Where do you stand on more solar fields?
Oh, yeah, no. I would really love to see the solar program to go to individual housing. I've seen this work in a way where you actually get money back for having the solar panels on your roof or property. If we go more solar, I would love to see it more privatized, as in the residents chose to put them on their roofs. I do not think it is a good idea to destroy wildlife management areas. I know a lot of people saw me earlier this year. I offered to do events, camping, and teaching survival skills in the wildlife management areas as a way to promote our wildlife management areas. In the social circle that I am in, I have a lot of people that are looking into this as another business opportunity to take individuals into the wildlife management areas, teach them survival skills, take them on guided hunting trips, take them on guided fishing trips. This is a huge tourism industry that we are missing out on and not putting back into our wildlife management programs, because we could really be raking it in here, just bringing people from South America, Louisiana, Georgia, whatever, up here to go hunting for a weekend, to go camping for a weekend, and then, send them home. So yeah, no solar panels, and I've already discussed businesses.
Okay, thank you. School committee. The arts are a safe harbor and critical element of our students' cultural development and self-expression. Our music program is currently underfunded, understaffed, and crippled by curriculum priorities. What specific measures would you undertake to correct this? Dave?
Thank you for that question. And unfortunately, this has been going on for a long time. When I was a teacher, instead of threatening to cut science, it was always the arts and music. I took advantage of the arts and music when I was at Murdoch High School, both in the theater, the drama class, as well as band. And it was important in the development of a student. Left brain, right brain is what it's all about. And it's something that, I would have to look into additionally. I'm studying the budget now, but as far as, where the funding would come from, I do know that most schools have survived on organizations to support the arts and music, just like the sports boosters club. You have music boosters club. So that's an opportunity or an idea. I know there's an active booster club at Murdoch, and I would just say that would have to be something that would be, I would support fully and wholeheartedly, and do anything that I could to make sure that the arts and music program thrives here in town, just like it did when I went to school.
Mike?
The MCAS has done a lot of damage to arts and music. It's taken away our ability to teach the children art and music. Music has so many components to it. It has mathematics, it has English, and over the years, I can recall Robinson Broadhurst gave us a grant for the marching band uniforms almost about 15 years ago, and we had a huge band. And I can tell you, the first time I saw our band on Narragansett's field on Thanksgiving Day was unbelievable to watch our kids, because Narragansett has like 150 people in our band, and we had like 35, and our kids played their hearts out. Our music program suffered because we've had turnovers in the staff. An emphasis has to be put back in retaining good music teachers. But not only that, is starting an after-school program where all of the children from middle school to high school can work together to build that band back up. So the kids from the 5th grade to the 12th grade can get involved in that program, and they'll stay in it once they're in it, because it is such a good program once they can get involved in it. It's so much fun to watch those kids play, and they take a sense of pride. So that needs to happen after school, and that we need to bring more staff in to help that. We do not have enough music teachers to do that. And with consolidation, I'm not sure that the teachers we have are going to stay, because you're consolidating 2 schools into one, and the smaller school is only kindergarten and pre-K. So I'd like to see that person moved up to the middle school to help that program along, but also to make sure that we expand our after-school program for music, so the kids can get involved and the band can be rebuilt. We have beautiful plays. We have concerts. The kids are unbelievable, the time and effort they put in to do that. And we have lots of volunteers. We've had volunteers as long as I've been here helping with those programs. So we need everybody to help that program get back on its feet.
Thank you. So question for Tina, Board of Health. What do you see as Winchendon's Board of Health's top 3 concerns for the coming year?
I would say the top 3. Well, I mean, I had talked about the food insecurity. I think with the Board of Health, they review all our food permits, tobacco permits in town. We have great programs in town, Heal Winchendon, et cetera, so we can work with them. I feel the second probably would be mental health. We have, during COVID, I guess, and with kids being out on remote and such, there was quite amount of mental health within our youth, as well as the older generation as well. So I think focusing on that is definitely important. And then 3, just the overall health and well-being of all the residents, making sure that everybody is being taken care of and, protected and, I guess, properly or using the state regulations and programs and services to help them out for housing, et cetera.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a couple here that are for everyone. What are your feelings on diversity, equity, and inclusion? And how can you define equity? And let's start with with the Board of Selectmen. Sharon.
Not really sure. You want to go first? I don't know. You can start first. I don't know.
Diversity,
Yeah.
equity, and inclusion.
I'll have to come back to that one. You want to try? You want to go first?
Well, Melissa?
Well, as far as equity, I think, as it would be, all of us to equally share in the community to be able to support the town, not to exclude anybody, but to make sure that all of our citizens are heard, and that we value one another and one another's thoughts, and making sure that we don't exclude each other from our decisions. I want to try and keep an open ear to be able to hear the voices and to take everybody's request as value, to be able to look at things through an open mind, through a clean lens, and just consider everything to be transparent, not to have things hidden or hidden agendas within just to be able to be fair and just to people and treat everybody as I would want myself to be treated.
Okay, Ed?
As you know, I love diversity. I'm actually in communication with a blacksmith from Pakistan. I'm in communication with an orphanage in Africa. I'm also in communication with several people in Japan about bringing people into the community. Equity, I got a different definition on that one, but I believe in equality, not equity. I don't think we should be changing the word. It should be equality. We should all be equal to have our opinion, live our life freely, and observe our neighbor, but not influence them in a way that would impede them from achieving or pursuing their happiness. And yeah, I think that.
Okay, Dave?
Okay, if I could, I can actually refer to the Winchendon Public School website and define diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Winchendon Public Schools do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, creed, national origin, ethnic identity, sex, gender identity, disability, handicap, age, religion, sexual orientation, or homelessness in admission to or participation in its programs and activities. The Winchendon Public School does not tolerate any form of discrimination, intimidation, threat, coercion, and/or harassment that insults the dignity of others by interfering with their ability or freedom to learn and work. And out of that is born equity. And what they're saying with equity is this, is to treat each and every student the same, as equals. The equity part comes from regardless of whether you're rich or you're poor, you're white or you're black, you're straight or you're gay. An education in the public schools needs to recognize you for who you are. And that's why it's so important in this day and age, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, that diversity, equity, and inclusion, not only is it a mandate in our Commonwealth, but that it needs to be enforced, it needs to be taught, and it needs to be accepted. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle.
Mike?
You know, that statement in itself is powerful. But to me, equity is everybody needs to sit at the table. We need to respect each other and talk to each other and be able to communicate. You know, everybody has a sense of what they think is right and wrong, but we all need to get together and work together. You know, my dad taught me the golden rule: treat others as the way you want to be treated. That's what we need to do. That's how we make it work. But everybody should have a seat at the table. It doesn't matter to me. It matters because we have, you know, Winchendon is not very diverse, let's face it, we're not. But we have a change in population. We have an aging population in here that needs to be heard because sometimes they get left behind. So everybody needs to be at the table when it comes to certain things, especially equity, because we can't do it by ourselves. We need everybody.
Okay, Tina?
That mission statement sounds very familiar. I was actually one of the residents that attended a seminar with other school administration to help kind of create or, edit or come about that. So I definitely feel that it's important. I think the school has done a great job in regards with inclusion with all our students. I think that it's definitely, we as a town are very open and have tried to make sure that everybody is treated fairly. I feel that we don't quite have the diversity, as Mike had said, within town, but I feel a lot of people are coming to Winchendon from other towns and other cities, and I think it's great for everybody to kind of come together with their opinions, their expertise, and work together. And so I feel that just equity, the diverse, and the inclusion are definitely important, and I think if we all keep that in mind, everybody will be in a great.
Okay. So I've got several questions here that sort of, they overlap heavily with each other, and I think I'm going to squash them into one question. See if I can pull this off, and make it a question for everyone, because everybody's really concerned with this issue. One of the questions starts out saying, what role do you think that youth should play in our town? You know, how should they be, more involved in the town, more involved in what the town is doing? How should their voices be heard? But alternatively, we have reports of there being, bullying and fighting and violence in the schools sometimes, and there just seems to be some situations there, and which is our youth are in the schools, and this is happening. And we're having reports that some people may have heard that there are allegedly young persons running around town doing things that aren't, civically engaged, for example, tipping over a porta potty recently and so forth, and that, this has become some of a problem. But there are youth too. So I guess the general question would be, how can you look at youth in the schools, in our community, embrace them, really understand them, and what do you think our priorities should be for our youth in Winchendon? And I think, rather than do the obvious and start with school committee, I think I'll start with Board of Selectmen. Melissa.
Well, I've heard some of those same stories with some of the issues that we've had in town, and often with the youth, I feel that, they're not heard sometimes, so they strike out to be heard. Mental health is a huge issue right now with COVID, and also am a high school teacher, so I have to deal with the youth often. And I think by validating the individuals and listening to them and hearing them sometimes can help with some of these issues. When they're not seen is when they tend to strike out more. But it can be harmful to the town, but there again, we can't assume that all youth are doing this, so it's only a few number of individuals that might be harming the community, and trying not to hold that judgment towards the rest of the community because of what a few have done. So I think it would be trying to reach out to those individuals and trying to help them, and having a sit down and talk, a mediation with them, why are we doing what we're doing, and try and act civil and come up with a common goal. And then when that doesn't happen, we have police and let them do their job. It's not my job to put myself in harm's way to try and help somebody out in that way. If they're going to be violent and they're going to cause issues, then we would need to use our resources with the police department on that.
Okay, Ed.
Idle hands are the devil's playground. Right now we have a list of teenagers and there's nothing to do but the drugs they're exposed to and inappropriate behavior that they find amusing. Playaway lanes went under. We do not have an arcade no more. We don't really have any functions that you do not have to pay for to get in. Okay, we have a few that happen here and there, but a lot of them $15, $20, and a lot of these families cannot pay $15, $20 for a day event of 2 hours. They really need some place to go where they can express themselves, they can hang out and enjoy themselves, obviously monitored, because you never leave a teen unmonitored. I don't know who sends their kid out without a phone or some way to keep track of them. I would never do that. Helicopter parent, I'm buzzing. As well as disciplinary. I am a big fan of probation. I like to see people picking up trash on the side of the road if they get caught misbehaving. I like to see actual enforcement of the law so that, you know, it's an example to detour people from misbehaving. And I think it really does boil down to a lot of idle hands and frustration of not having anything that they feel constructive to do. I know there was a mention to a skate park would be an excellent idea. There was a property on the corner of Mill Street and Jackson Ave, a very dilapidated building that needs to be removed. I've been trying to get a playground in there through the CAC. And a skate park would go very nicely right next to the playground. And that would give them something entertaining to do within sight of the public so that if anything happens, we can address it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon?
Yeah, I would say that is definitely a concern and problem because, you know, I'm a mom of 4 stepkids and they're at that age, you know, their peers are doing stuff and they constantly ask me, you know, is there anything to do in the town and all that? And I think, you know, we should have the kind of like a forum thing where we can have the kids get involved and say what they want, what they need in town, because there definitely needs to be more in town for the families and the younger generations. There's really not a lot in here, and you know, when they want to go somewhere, it's like they can't go there. They have to like pay a lot of money, but there definitely has to be more friendly activities for the younger generations because there really isn't anything. And when there's nothing in town, like they said, they resort to other things, and it's not good. But so if there's other things that can be added to the community and for the younger generations, and you know, just give them their voice and let them, you know, let us tell us what, you know, there can be in town, like, you know, the skate park, you know, and other things. You know, there should be more stuff here for the younger generation because there are more kids coming to town, and you know, there's a lot of them here, and I think they probably would know more about stuff than we do, actually, you know. But I think definitely, you know, having the kids have their voices, you know, heard to everyone else, maybe we can like learn some stuff from them and, you know, just get them involved with us, and that would probably help them out. Like during the summer we have our veggie stand and we get our kids involved in that, so they learn at a young age, like 13, 10, and 7 and 6. They learn the value of money and like how to do stuff, so they're not like in that predicament. So I think just getting more kids involved with everything and just learning what their interests are, that could help a lot in town.
Okay. Tina, both as a parent and from a public health standpoint.
Yes, well, I have 2 teens that are going to be 17, so they, you know, it's quite challenging growing up. You know, I think kids nowadays are being forced to grow up so fast. I remember going out, you know, when it was daylight and coming in with the, you know, when the lights came on, street lights. Kids nowadays, a lot of them are kind of, I have 2 kids, 2 twins, you know, or twins that are night and day. One loves to go outside, play softball, you know, be outdoors. One that's kind of loves to be in her cave, I say. You know, she enjoys playing on computers, etc. I think nowadays we need to get these kids more involved, get them outdoors, have more activities within town so that they can be active. And so I think the town has started to do more events. The Winchendon Community Park, they have the free events for monthly. This summer they're going to be having some back to school events. They have picnics in the park, et cetera. You know, when I first moved out here, we had the Clark. The kids would go out there. My kids loved to ride their bikes around the bike track while I walked around with them or play on the playground. We need a lot more for the teens. The kids that are older, middle school and up, you know, we have the playgrounds. Like I said, I was involved with Project Playground with the Toy Town Playground, but a lot of the teens, they don't necessarily have that much to do or places to kind of, you know, outlets for them. We do have Denison, et cetera, but some of those you have to pay for. So more free events or programs and or just places to go. I think also we have to kind of, it starts at home. Raising your child to be respectful and holding the parents accountable for those that are bullying or fighting or being destructive in town. I think, again, just working together as a community and making sure that our youth is our next generation, and they being a great mentor and just kind of giving them the opportunities that they can use to grow as a responsible adult.
Okay, so school committee, this is a big one for you. Mike, you start.
So, bullying in schools has been a problem for a long time, and there's lots of ways to address it. You have to try to find the root cause and work with the children. You know, that's hard because a lot of parents work 2 jobs in this community. We're a small community, we're a bedroom community, and sometimes our children are left to their own devices. It is what it is because of society. You know, we need to have more after-school programs for our children to keep them involved. You know, we were very fortunate to have sports be free so our children can get more involved in sports. That's athletics, perfect outlet for children. But other than that, there's really nothing in town for the kids. We proposed a skate park, it doesn't come to fruition. You know, we have this brand-new park and amphitheater coming in, which will be a great success. But we need to have events there for the children, the teenagers especially, you know. But it starts at home. You have to teach your children to be respectful. And when you can do that, but a lot of that's lead by example. We all do that. We all try to lead by example. But you have to have some way to reach these kids because, you know, 2 years of being locked up inside the house when COVID hit did a lot of damage to our kids because they couldn't communicate. They couldn't let their energy out. And now the world is free and they don't know what to do. And they've lost a lot of time. So I think we need to really spend a lot of time in the school district helping our children cope with all the social setbacks that this caused because we stopped communicating. But we also have to have programs for them that they can bite into: music, art, after-school programs. All these programs will help our children be better in society. But also, as a community, we have to find ways to bring other things in for them, whether it's businesses like reopening the bowling lanes, whether it's some kind of events at the park, more events at the park that are geared towards teenagers. I think that's a way we can bring our kids in, and instead of them hanging out in the woods and, you know, getting into things we don't want them to.
Thank you. David?
Thank you. We had this very discussion about 3 hours ago at our board meeting at the Y, and that very topic was brought up, that, you know, our town does a wonderful job providing opportunities and activities and events for our children. The Beals Memorial Library does a wonderful job for all ages. You have the CAC with its new the Sunshine Cafe, which is an opportunity for teens to get together. So what we decided as part of our strategic initiative, we actually had tonight our first meeting with a student representative for Murdoch, and that her name is Riley Rivers. She's in grade 11. And what she is going to do is play a role as kind of a liaison to the teenage, which I like to call the screenagers, a liaison to them and ask them what they would like to see. We know what we would like to see, but what do they want to see? As a criminal defense lawyer who practices juvenile law, by the time I see a juvenile client at that particular point in time, it's a lot of work for me to use the court system to rehabilitate my client, not to punish him. That's the juvenile court system here in Massachusetts. Unlike other states, Massachusetts has divided two court systems, juvenile and adult. So I think that in hearing these ideas, they're great. But let's ask the teenagers, what do they want to see here in town? Because there is opportunity for them. The Clark Y is going to be putting forth some initiatives that's going to address the needs of teenagers.
Okay, thank you. So I believe we were supposed to stay to about 90 minutes. Is that correct? So we can keep going? Okay. So for school committee, how do you think your role on the school committee will be helpful, or how will you help to be changing and improving the special ed department? Start with Dave.
So initially, in answering this question, I'm not inferring that there is an issue with the special education department at Winchendon, because I don't have enough information, but I have seen and I have heard people who have reached out to me with their concerns about the special education department. I've had experience working with some fabulous teachers and aides that came from the special ed department who came into my diverse and included classroom and helped me tremendously to reach each and every student in my class because they were diverse learners, they were different types of learners from different backgrounds, different educational levels. So the role of the special education, obviously, is to provide students with a path to success. And that path to success involves two very important paths. It's either through the 504 path, which is an education plan that doesn't quite meet the standards of the individual education plan, but it largely acts as the same animal. I have experience with both the 504 and the individual education plans. I met with multiple team meetings, multiple times with parents, with students who needed that extra help to succeed, because that's what it was all about. Each child, we needed to make sure they succeeded, and everybody succeeded in their own way. So I think here in Winchendon, and I do know that, that the proportion of IEPs in relation to other school districts, I know that there's a lot of IEPs here in our district. And so it's going to take a lot of resources. The teachers, as Mike had said, that they just came through this 2-year of a life-changing pandemic where a lot of professions, including the law, changed. It has changed forever. And now we're trying to get our footing back. And the students who need it the most are the students who have IEPs or 504s. So my commitment to the parents of special education students would be, again, to gather the facts, review the evidence, and then come up with a solution. If there is a problem, We need to fix it, and we need to make it better, because you only get one chance with a student's public education.
Okay, Mike?
So, when you look at Winchendon's numbers for special education, we're in the high 20s. We're above average in the state. We have a very high special education population. When you look at special ed in general, which is a very volatile situation, the state runs a year behind. So if we have 50 kids this year and 100 kids next year, it takes a year after that before the funding catches up. And it puts the district in a bind. If you listen to the superintendent, his goal with the opening of the new school is to bring on 2 new special education teachers to try to address some of these issues. The other thing that I would like to see that we used to have that was eliminated is a special ed director. That's just that job. We have a director of students, but we used to have a special ed director, which is a special license person that handles that only. Not all the other students, just 504s, IEPs, and children with disabilities. That's a very specialized field where all their energy goes into that, because there are a lot of issues with special education. You have to be compliant. If you're not, it's a civil rights violation. We need to make sure, again, coming through the pandemic, we have a lot of children that were pent up, and now we're finding they have a lot of mental health issues. We need to bring more resources into the school for mental health. We have a clinic in the high school that's been there since the mid to early 2000s. It's underutilized. We partnered with Luck a long time ago. I was fortunate when we launched that program at the high school. But it's underused because parents don't know the resources are there. We need to make that available for them and tell them, hey, if your child is experiencing some issues, we have people you can reach out to get help. But it starts with having a specialized person in that role to be able to facilitate the rest of the school district.
Okay, thank you. So, Board of Selectmen, and we did touch about businesses in town in another question. How would you support, with relation to that question, but also just as the Board of Selectmen, how would you support a buy local culture in the town of Winchendon, which we need to support our local businesses? So how would you go about supporting that? And I guess, Melissa?
I think we already have that a lot already with the culture, with the buy local. I think we need to do a little bit more effort on when we have our farmers market. That's kind of a sad day for me when I drive by and I see that farmers market, which to me would be a very big buy local and introduce a lot of different businesses to people just driving down the road. And we just can't seem to get the support for that. So I'd like to see more local businesses. I try and myself, I do a lot of local businesses, and I see a lot of the same people that do buy local. So as far as getting it out there for more people, I think in town we pretty much are buying local. We don't have, it's quite a drive to get to the grocery store. So we have our stores where we go, Just Produce, when we need that quick bag of spinach for our morning breakfast, or we've got the local farms that we can purchase from. But I'd like to see more with the farmers market, because that is a great place to get these farms and these local stores more visible to the everyday person driving down the street that normally wouldn't know to find these little hidden gems that we have throughout the town. So for me, it would be the farmers market and trying to get that more established and more vendors to come and support that so that more people utilize it.
Okay, Sharon?
Yeah, I think like if we get it more out there, because I know there's a couple other people, residents that have, their own businesses, but you don't really see it unless someone asks, like, is there something here? So there should probably be like a little section. I know there's some stuff on the Courier, but like just like a little section saying like, you know, small businesses, and even if they just like do their odds and ends like crafting or whatever, just to get it out there, you know, so everyone else can see it. But, you know, it's a good thing to have for everyone to like, you know, get involved with the small businesses like that.
Okay, Ed?
As you know, I am very multicultural. I am talking to people around the world constantly. Yeah, it is kind of part of my contract, but I enjoy it. And touch on the farmers market. Yeah, we definitely need more participation in the farmers market. I believe that our food resources are going to be one of our biggest exports to bring in revenue, financial revenue. I think that if we advertise the fact that we are a right-to-farm community and the fact that we are doing our farming correctly, we can make a lot of sales to places like Gardner and Leominster, Greenfield. These people actually do come out here, and they do egg shop. I've seen them stop at some of our egg stands. And to boost our local revenue would be focus on our right to farm. Start bring in a butcher shop so we can export some of our meat. Bring in a better farm stand system so that we can advertise the fact that we have these cute little farm stands all over Winchendon. You can take a back road, find one with your family, enjoy picking out some fruit and vegetables, enjoy talking to a friendly farmer neighbor, and you know, just a better environment than going to a grocery store and checking yourself out. Again, I cannot wait to get a grocery store in town. I do believe one of the questions a little while back was, what businesses would you not want to bring to town? Mm-hmm. And I think we have enough marijuana facilities at this point. And breweries, I think we've spent enough generations in a daze that we can, you know, move past this. I'm not saying don't bring the groweries here, because it is a lot of good work. I am a cannabis user myself, so I will be looking forward to seeing a grow facility here. But the old Walgreens building across the street from the CAC would make an awesome grocery store for the CAC. The CAC has worked very hard on acquiring food, bringing in people, and serving the community's grocery needs for the last ever. So to give them that building as opposed to put in a growery, I think would be more appropriate. That would give us a grocery store in the community.
Thank you. So, question for everyone. Now, as Winchendon becomes more diverse, which it is, how do you support those who are different from you, or those who have different personal beliefs than you do? So, start with Tina.
Well, I feel that, you know, everybody is different in their own way and their own special way. Everyone kind of comes to the table with their own skills, expertise, personalities. Again, I have twins. They are fraternal twins, and they are night and day. I have one that is very diva. The other one is, you know, very easygoing, kind of shy. But, you know, they both complement each other, yin and yang. So I feel that everybody has a right to their opinion. We should all respect their opinion and be transparent and just work together as a community, volunteer, get out in your school system, as well as step up onto a board. But I think, you know, everybody has their own kind of skills and expertise and/or opinions and ways that they can contribute. So that's the good thing about
Thank you.
equality.
Mike?
So, you have to let everybody be part of the group. The more that we, different groups move into town, they have different opinions, different skill sets, different foods. It's a wide variety. We need to have diversity. We need to survive. We need to grow. But we need to accept for who you are or what you are. Doesn't matter. You're here. You live here. We want you here. We want you to be part of the community. So you need to come and join us. Come to meetings. Town meeting is the simplest form of democracy, and we have it here, and we're very fortunate where people get to stand up and vote for everything that we do here. That's diversity. But as we bring more people in, we're going to need to diversify our educational system, more ELA, English language learners. We're going to need to beef up that. We don't have a lot of that, but we will. And so we need to be accepting and prepare for that. And that, as a community, starts at the schools and works outward, because the children come in, and they're the ones that need to learn the language and be diverse with everybody else. Inclusion. We need to include everybody in everything. Thank you.
Okay, Dave?
Yes, thank you. So 2 years ago, I attended the first annual Taste of Winchendon, put on by Heel at the Beale Memorial Library. And my first impression was that, looking around the lawn area, I noticed a different Winchendon than when I grew up. I was actually, as a white male, was the minority. It was wonderful to see the diversity here in Winchendon, whether it was black, white, Latino, Latina, gay, straight. The Winchendon School had students come down there from all walks of life and all backgrounds, both ethnic and racial. So, but to see, and then the food, the cultural food that our residents, these were Winchendon residents, created a smorgasbord of food from that was around the world. And it was free, by the way. So that was my first impression, and I think it was wonderful. So I attended the second year, same thing. I was even doing some Latin dance, which I never thought I would do. But we had belly dancers, we had people teaching Latin dance, Latin music. And this year, I encourage all of you, everyone out there watching, all of us here in this room, for the third annual Town of Winchendon. And I have to put in a plug for my band, The Big Random, because we'll be playing at this particular Taste of Winchendon. In fact, the two girls in our band, our front women, will be singing all music from women rock and rollers throughout history. But again, so the diversity is here. It's in Winchendon. We just need to get out there and see it and be a part of it. And as far as personal beliefs, everybody has personal beliefs, whether they're political, religious, or otherwise. But if those personal beliefs are rooted in hatred, are rooted in just simply being mean to others, putting other people down just to lift themselves up, that's not a personal belief that I hold, my children hold, my friends hold, my families hold, and I know a lot of you in here don't hold those beliefs. So that's what you get from the diversity here in Winchendon, is the acceptance of people who are different from us.
Thank you. Ed?
As you know, I love diversity. I love a mixing pot. I would love to look out and see more diversity. I know there's a lot of families that only speak Spanish here in Winchendon, having trouble getting out and communicating with storefronts. I know we only really have Family Dollar and Cumbies right now as far as like actual stores. But yeah, encouraging the diverse culture that is here in Winchendon to come out and actually communicate with each other is where I would focus. Because, yeah, we have it, but we don't actually communicate. We got social group over here and social group over there that don't actually talk to each other. And I think bringing them together would be a lot better for our community. And as you know, I have been bringing people to this community for over 5 years now. I've been inviting people from other cultures and other countries to our community. So I love the diversity.
Okay, thank you. Melissa?
I feel diversity is extremely important in a community because it helps us from being one-sided. We're able to see things and perceive things through other views, which allows us to open up our minds and accept other ideas where we would tend to be one-sided on a lot of issues. And because of other beliefs or other cultures, sometimes we just look at things through somebody else's eyes and we can see clarity where otherwise we wouldn't have seen without that diverse environment. So I think the diversity in the community should be encouraged, and it's part of the community, and it's what I would strive for.
And Sharon?
Yeah, and it's pretty good because you just like learn more from people. Like when you just like walk down the road and just start talking to people, you can just learn more about them, and it's just treating everyone the same as you would want to be treated. You know, it's like what your parents taught you when you grew up, and just like not everyone is the same. Everyone is different in their own way, but you learn, you know, you get to learn people. Like I meet different people every day on my route, you know, like I knew we were there, but I just never talked to them. But you just start talking to people, and then like 5-minute conversation will lead into like a 10 or 15-minute conversation. But you just learn more about people, and there's a lot of people that, you know, I talked to, and I'm just like, didn't know like this different cultures or whatever they had, but it's pretty interesting like what people have for like their backgrounds and all that. So it's pretty neat to just start like talking to people and just seeing in general like how they are and all that.
Okay, thanks. Well, I wanted to give everyone a chance for a final statement. And I have one more question, which kind of gives you a good kickoff for that. But you don't have to stick just to this. And this question was for everyone. And the person wrote, "Why are you running? What's the difference you want to make?" So maybe you want to think, you're elected 3 years from now, what difference do you want to have made in Winchendon in the seat that you're running for? So let's just do what we did at the start. Sharon.
Well, there's a lot. Like I said, I'm a stepmother to 4 young kids. There's a lot that can be done in the community, and basically, you know, with the rising costs and everything in the town that everyone is having an issue with, that's kind of like one of the challenges that we have between, you know, utilities and everything, and it's kind of, you know, a family of 6, it's kind of hard to deal with, but, you know, hopefully like the helping with the cost and getting more stuff to town, there is a lot that can be done, and there has been a lot of improvement going on the past couple of years since I've been here. And, you know, my husband, he's been here his whole life, and he said it's actually getting better to what it should be. And, you know, bringing back like back in the olden days, like on the pond and all that, they had a lot of activities there, and, you know, just fixing up certain areas that should be, you know, again, fixed, other than, I know there's demands on needs and wants, and, you know, they should just look into stuff that needs to be done instead of what people want, like fix stuff that that should get done first, and then go down the line, and, you know, if you want more other stuff, you know, figure that out. But there is a lot that can be, you know, in town that can be utilized and be done, and this town does have a lot of potential, and if we just work to it and get it all, you know, work together, we can see a lot more stuff going on and make it better than it is.
Thank you. And Melissa?
I'd like to run because I love this town, and I like the things that have happened in the past, and I'd like to see the town continue to move and progress and grow. We've got a lot of good things happening in town with the bike path, with new businesses, bringing people into the town, and I'd like to see that continue to grow, and I'd like to be part of that and be part of making those choices so that we could have those businesses come in and we could have the infrastructure repaired so that we can drive down our roads and I can open my tap on my water and have clean water and enjoy the things that I should be able to enjoy in this town. I'd like to be part of that and see that it continues to get better. And that would be my main thing. I want to be the voice for the people, and I want to be able to have a town where we can talk amongst ourselves and we can solve the problems and try and make it better for each other.
Thank you. And Ed?
I'm running to save the nation, not just Winchendon, as well as bring up more of our independence. I would love to have the water filtration plant here as opposed to Ashburnham. I think there would be a lot more independence in our water system that way, as well as independence in our financial structure. I would like to, again, progress more in the right to farm and the ability to produce food from your home farm to a market for sale so that you can support your farm financially, as well as just bringing in food and entertaining yourself. Everybody loves animals, you know, vegetables, growing things. But yeah, again, to save the nation from a overpowering and corrupt government, federal and state.
Thank you. And David?
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It's simple. I'm running for school committee because I want to be a part of the Winchendon Public Schools, and I want to continue to ensure that each and every student gets the same opportunity that I got when I attended the Winchendon Public Schools. After 3 years, if I'm elected, I would hope that during that time that I would do my best to meet all the challenges of the position that the school will face, that the students will face, parents will face. But in the end, it would be my goal to make sure that that three-legged stool of community, children, and curriculum is much stronger and provides and builds upon what has already been done and accomplished by those before me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mike?
I'd hope to look back and see that the new initiative for one of the initiatives that the superintendent is opening a early learning center. And I hope that it gives us the ability for young parents to be able to put their children in a preschool program that's all day, that allows them to go to work and feel confident and not have to pay $300 a week for childcare. It's killing people. I think that is an important thing, that an initiative that we would look to, I would help to look to fund through grants or otherwise. I also think that the education system in Winchendon is working, and it's due to our staff and the support of all the people that work with them. We have lots and lots of dedicated people here, and you know, we need to support them, not only by saying thank you every once in a while, but fiscally when times are tough, or we need to add more programs to give our kids more opportunities. But Winchendon Public Schools is strong, and it will continue to get stronger as time goes on, and I hope to be a part of that.
Okay, thank you. And Tina?
Well, I really enjoy helping out my community. I volunteer and wear many hats in town as well as the school. My husband would say sometimes too many hats. But I really enjoy making a difference. Just love the town of Winchendon. Enjoy all the people. I've enjoyed my first term within the Board of Health, and I'm really looking forward to 3 more years if elected. I love working with people. I am very confident and not afraid to take action when needed. I feel it's important to be honest. responsible and to make sure that you are a good role model. And I hope that within the 3 years of my position on Board of Health, that I can continue to make a difference.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'd like to thank all of our candidates for coming out tonight and being so forthright and sharing with us and running this gauntlet, because even I didn't know what the questions were going to be, so thanks to all of you. And I want to thank our audience for coming and contributing the questions and listening and, being here to support the candidates. And to everyone here in the audience and out who's listening on, out in town, I'd just like to say on Monday, please go to the polls, vote your conscience, vote what you think is right, but go to the polls and vote, because that's what we do. So thank you very much, everyone.
Very good job.